Hello again everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now today we are travelling across the Solent to the Isle of Wight to uncover the story of a rather intriguing Roman villa. A place that gives us a window into the lives of the wealthy in Romano-British society. A place with magnificent mosaics, a working estate, and a rather intriguing figure in one of those mosaics. The Cockerel-headed man. I am of course talking about Brading Roman Villa. Now, the story of Brading Roman Villa begins in 1879 with a farmer called Mr. Munns, who was trying to create a sheep pen, but in the act of creating it, he stumbled across bits of mosaic. Now, word quickly spread, and a man called Captain Thorpe, who was actually searching the Isle of Wight for Roman antiquities, came to his aid, and together they unearthed the first piece of mosaic flooring, the Gallus panel. Further excavations soon followed, and by 1880 half the site had been unearthed. Now, the other half of the site was owned by the Oglander estate, but after Lady Louisa Oglander purchased the site, archaeologists were able to unearth the entire complex. So to understand what they had unearthed, let's go back in time. So in 44 AD, the Isle of Wight was brought under Roman control by future Emperor Vespasian, along with the Second Legion Augusta, following the Claudian invasion. Now after this, in the mid to late 1st century, the first villa at Brading was built, and it was a fairly modest affair. Over the following 2 centuries, the villa grew into a large courtyard complex, with stone buildings on 3 sides of a courtyard. And it was richly decorated with mosaic floors. It was clearly a prosperous household. The villa survived a serious fire in the 3rd century, and although damaged, it continued to be used as a farm for another 100 years. In the mid-4th century AD, raids on the south coast were increasing, but coin finds at Brading Roman Villa indicate that it was still inhabited at least into the 390s AD. Now after this it went into a steep decline, at one point even being used for grain storage. But it eventually collapsed entirely in the 5th century, waiting for a farmer to come along in the 19th century to build a sheep pen. What you see today at Brading Roman Villa is the West Range, which was built around the 4th century AD, and it was built as a winged corridor villa, which had a selection of private rooms for family as well as formal spaces for entertaining. Altogether, 12 rooms survive at ground level, with the largest of these rooms having a magnificent mosaic in it, which was probably reserved for gatherings and ceremonial occasions. Interestingly, there's no sign of an indoor kitchen, which would indicate that they used a separate building to do the cooking, possibly to reduce the risk of fire. Some of the finds from the villa include Samian pottery, jewellery and gaming counters, which show to us that the household liked to live in comfort, luxury and imported goods. Brading is of course famous for its mosaic collection, which covered at least 5 different rooms, and they cover a variety of topics. We have a striking Orpheus mosaic, Bacchus and gladiators, and gods, goddesses and Medusa. Together they make Brading one of the finest mosaic collections in all of Britain. Now, the Medusa mosaic at Brading is very interesting, as it was possibly built in order to ward off evil spirits. But when it comes to Brading's mosaics, there's one that is far more interesting than even the Medusa one. The Cockerel-headed man. Now, some scholars have linked the cockerel-headed man to the Gnostic deity Abraxas, whilst others think it may be a pun about a gladiator called Gallus, Gallus being the Latin for cockerel, whilst others think it may be mocking a Roman emperor, Constantius Gallus, an emperor from the 4th century. There's also an intriguing theory that the braiding mosaics are similar to those that you can find in Antioch on the eastern Mediterranean, and that an exiled Roman official, Polydius, had the cockerel-headed man created when he was exiled to Britain as a satire against his enemies. Now, the villa wasn't just a family residence. To the north was a farmhouse that was complete with a hypercore system, built for the workers, and to the south were buildings like granaries and storerooms, but sadly these have not survived. Archaeologists have also uncovered a nymphaeum, which you can now go and see inside the museum. Now, the choice of location for braiding Roman villa was no accident. The area was very fertile farmland, whilst its location made it easy to get to island settlements and also to mainland Britain or across the Channel to Gaul. It was good for farming and also good for trade and communication. And there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed learning about braiding Roman villa. I find it a truly astonishing place. Its mosaics are magnificent, and I love the variety of stories behind the cockerel-headed man. But thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. It helps immensely, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.